Chloe Scrimgeour, welcome to the Running Effect podcast. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing really good. Looking forward to this one. I guess first question off the bat, you had a workout this morning, now hopping out a podcast. What is the normal day in your life look like? Like what's a normal Friday in your life look like as a Georgetown athlete?
Okay, Fridays are normally a lot more chill because I don't have class. So typically I'll go to practice and we practice really early. And then I will come home, make breakfast, probably go and get a coffee and do homework somewhere off campus and just bop around. Sometimes I go shopping. But yeah, Fridays are definitely more of the chill day. I get to relax a little. But typically, every other day of the week, I have class, so I'll rush back and shower and change and then go to class.
Coffee scene in Washington, D.C. How would you rate it?
Oh my God, it's so good. 10 out of 10.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's expensive though. People I feel like my assistant coach moved here from a lot of places. I don't know, but she kind of hates. She always talks about how bad and expensive DC coffee is. But I'm from Connecticut, so I'm used to coffee being expensive, and so I don't really mind it. It's so good. I really like Compass Coffee. Shout out. I go there every day, and
There
I
you
also
go.
like I also like Gray. Why am I forgetting it? Gray Street. Gray Street coffee is really good, but that one I don't go to as often. So.
I lived in Austin last year, so I want to hear what's the you buy a vanilla latte, if you know off the top of your head, how expensive is it?
Okay, so Chloe Gonzalez on my team, her coffee order is an iced latte with oat milk and vanilla and an extra shot of espresso, and her iced latte is $8.50 at Compass. But the extra shot of espresso adds an extra dollar. I would say typically a latte is probably 6 to 7. I get Americanos, so mine are $5.
That honestly is not that
Right?
expensive.
It's not
Maybe
that
your
much.
assistant coach will flame me for that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because Austin, I feel like is like 650 to 7 for a normal size vanilla latte.
Yeah.
Um, Coffee's just expensive these days. Like even in Ohio, which everything's pretty cheap here. I'm trying to think, what did I pay today? It's like 6 maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Like
crazy. But I
it's
go to coffee
honestly
shops honestly for the atmosphere and to work and less for the coffee. Like, yes, I enjoy the coffee, but if I'm going to work, it's more about the work and less about the coffee, if that makes sense.
yeah,
It's kind of like
same.
the price of admission, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's so much more
But
fun to just I never I drink the coffee obviously, but I like it for the vibes too, like you said. I just go and do homework and then I'll end up buying two coffees. So it's kind of stupid, but
what are the core components that make a good coffee shop? I've thought about this a lot. Like in your rankings, the taste of the coffee is obviously one, but what are those other things you're looking for?
I'm really big into the color. So if it's too milky, I have actually a panic attack. I hate it. So I need it. That's why I get Americanos because I love espresso. I love the taste of espresso. So first thing is it needs to have good espresso and for me it needs to be really strong. Espresso, I need it to taste very strong. And so I like when a great coffee shop would have a latte where it's a dark color and you can add milk or it has milk in it but not too much milk. But I that's why I've moved to Americanos because I feel like when everywhere I go when I get a latte if I don't get an extra shot it's this much espresso because espresso shots are small. So if you get a medium latte at a lot of places that's two shots sometimes and then it's this much milk and then it's white and that even if it tastes like coffee if it looks like milk it I hate it. So
I'm gonna be
it needs to
honest.
have color.
Real quick to butt in before you go on to the other aspects that make a good coffee shop. When you said colors and then milky, I was like, is she talking about the colors? I thought you meant the colors within the coffee shop and how it was set up. And then when you said milky, I'm like, what does that mean? Like white? Like too white? What does that mean?
You're probably so
And then you
confused.
explained. Yeah, I was
Yeah, no,
confused.
no.
What
Also the
about
colors.
music?
So I like to listen to my own music. So whatever the music is, it has to be not too loud. That's a big thing because some coffee shops have music blaring and it's just kind of weird. Um, but I would say chill vibes, nothing crazy. Um, I listen to a lot of. I like when it's I like John Mayer a lot. So stuff kind of around that energy where it's chill, guitar. um, music. Like I don't want any upbeat like drums, all that stuff. Like no, that's a lot.
Let's get your hot take on this. Less than 100 days until Christmas. When can you start listening to Christmas music? And do not ask me if I started listening yet.
Oh God, you definitely did. Let's see. I'd say I listen honestly as soon as it gets cold enough. Like as soon as there's a day where I'm in like where I'm drinking like a hot coffee or like it's like cold enough weather, I feel like I can listen to it. Normally I wait until after Halloween. Um, but from Halloween and on, I think it's very acceptable because I feel like Thanksgiving is like basically Christmas.
I don't start consistent defending myself. I don't start consistently listening to Christmas music probably until a week or two before Thanksgiving. And I think, like you, it signals with the weather shift. Like it's 80 degrees in Ohio today. I'm not going to listen to Christmas music. The
Yeah.
only Christmas I've listened to, and here's where I kind of get in a pickle, is Vince Guaraldi. He did all the soundtracks for like the Charlie Brown movies. He's got amazing like instrumental jazz that I love to work to. But technically, it's Christmas. Like he like has a song called "Christmas Time Is Here" instrumental, and it's like a great 6 minute piece. I can lock in when I listen to it. So it's misleading. I'm not listening to like Frank Sinatra or Mariah Carey belting their lungs out. It's more like instrumental works for work, and that's why I like it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
I don't know.
acceptable.
In Georgetown, time of year, fall, I've heard it's like peak elite vibes. What's your take on Georgetown in the fall?
Yeah, Georgetown in the fall is actually the best place in the world. It's so pretty. So can't wait for that. It's been really hot and humid here, so we're not there yet, but I think in a couple more weeks it'll start to get really pretty. It's definitely the best season.
You mentioned that Fridays you don't have any structured classes, so it's a little more chill for you. What are you studying, and can you speak to the aspect of balancing being one of the best runners in the country while also going to one of the most academically rigorous institutions that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about? Like a lot of people talk about like the Stanford or Harvard balance, but Georgetown is probably like one of three schools that is ridiculous on academics and athletics, specifically within running.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. I'm studying psychology, and I'd say like that's probably the most challenging thing that I had to balance when I got here was like figuring out how to like get enough sleep and finish my homework and be able like I said, we practiced really early in the morning, so it's definitely challenging, and I'm really grateful for it though because I feel like it's made me a much better athlete and worker because like I don't just like sit around all day and then run. Like I have to do a bunch of stuff. So um, I think it makes me like be able to get everything done, and I've learned to have a pretty good routine here. But it is very challenging. I'd say probably close to like the Ivies, like academically difficult. Obviously, I mean I'm gonna say that because I go here, but I think academically it is pretty similar, like rigorous wise.
I will say when I was applying to colleges a few years ago, I I applied to Stanford, I looked into Harvard, and I applied to Notre Dame, like a bunch of academically rigorous institutions. All of them had dropped the ACT SAT requirement. I go on Georgetown and they had not dropped it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, you guys are legit.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
are not slacking. So, and I think they were like one of a few at the time that did not drop it. So that
Mm-hmm.
was interesting to see. For you, studying psychology, what's maybe I'm exposing your lack of homework knowledge here if you have not been on it. But what's one thing you've learned that's interesting in your studying of psychology?
In my studying, okay, well, right now I'm in a child development class. So we're learning all about this is kind of like um, really scary actually, but we're learning a lot about like cell phones and how it's affecting like people ages like because kids are getting cell phones like in fifth grade right now, and like my professor works for like the school that her kids go to, and she's like does all this research on like developmental psychology and is like found that it actually like having the cell phones like throughout the day makes the kids like process less of what they learned. Like I think it's like 30% less of what they learned in the class
Wow.
before. So it's like so she got them banned from her school, which shout out
Wow.
her. Yeah, but
That's awesome.
yeah, we're learning about that right now. But I've learned I've taken a lot of different classes like across the field, but that's like the most interesting one I'm in right now.
For you, if you have kids one day, like down the road, at what age would you give them a cell phone? This is an interesting debate.
I don't know. So one of my best friends here, isn't a runner, but she went to high school in New York City, like a private school, and didn't have a phone until senior year of high school. And we always joke about it. And she's like the coolest person ever and has a phone now, but is like not addicted to it. And I like don't think I'd hold off until senior year of high school, but I definitely want to see how long I can hold off. Probably end of middle school. But I also don't want my kids to get like, I don't want them to be left out, you know, because that's the thing. Like maybe I'd give them a phone, but be like, no social media because social media sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
The sad thing to me is anytime I will like go out to eat or whatever, and you see that one family and like the 2-year-old has an iPad and the parents are on their phones, and it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's so
What are we
bad.
doing here? It's
Yeah.
like the 2 to 3-year-olds that like have their parents' phone and they're watching like Peppa Pig while they're eating, and it's like, oh, what are
Hmm.
we doing? What are we doing?
It's actually so sad.
On the other hand, talking about running, have you learned anything interesting within psychology that you've applied to running, or any things within your class that have correlations to running in the sport?
I mean, I've learned a lot about like emotion. Like right now, I'm in another class about like emotions, and so we're learning about like the positive side to negative emotions, like stress and anxiety and stuff like that. And so, I mean, that's really applicable to my life. I feel like, I mean, probably every single student at Georgetown, regardless of if you're an athlete, like faces a lot of stress. Everyone faces a lot of stress, but um, I like there was this is actually funny for track athletes, but there was like a study about like how many um, track athletes actually feel like they performed better at their meets when they like felt like an overwhelming sense of stress, and it was like it was a study in 2012, and I think it was taken at like a random college, so obviously not applicable to everyone, but it was like overwhelmingly people performed better when they felt like they were under like a lot of stress. And that kind of made me think. I was like, okay, like me feeling like nauseous before races sometimes, like, okay, this is normal and it actually could benefit me. So I've kind of used that stuff like more recently to my advantage, I guess. But in general, yeah, I think psych's a good major for like running just because you learn a lot about mental health and how to deal with like anxiety and stuff.
A lot of people listening are in the thick of their seasons, and I know a majority of runners actually struggle with pre-race anxiety. From your own experience within the sport, what would be some advice you would give to people?
Okay. I I think like something that I've learned over the last year, definitely more this year, is like you're the only one who actually pays attention to how you do in most cases. Like I feel like cross country is kind of a different situation because it's like the whole team. But especially for track, it's like okay, if I don't run well like one race, one weekend, like no one's really gonna think about it besides myself. And that's kind of helped me a lot. And then also just I try to like be not think about it until I have to think about it. So like the day leading up to the race or even the day of the race, like for outdoor track and indoor track, all the races are normally at night for distance especially. And so like all day, I think like my freshman year self, my sophomore year self would be really anxious all day and like be thinking about the race, like be on Instagram, like looking at like rant and like all these like running reels coming up. But the last 2 years, I feel like I've been a lot better at just like shutting my brain off and like watching like Grey's Anatomy or something that will take my mind off of it. So that's helped me a lot the last 2 years, I'd say. So yeah, my advice would be just to like try to distract yourself.
You're a senior at Georgetown, right?
Yes.
Okay. So as a senior, you're like 4 years into the NCAA, and I think that lines up very well with kind of social media becoming more prevalent. You know, you look like 10 years ago and it was a thing, but like people weren't really checking every day and scrolling every day. And I feel like 5 years ago is really when we started to see more of a shift towards, yeah, people going on Instagram 24/7 and seeing what their competitors are doing and all of that. As someone who's in the thick of it, one of the best athletes in the country, trying to be the best, how do you balance like being on social media and being active there while also making sure you're not comparing yourself to other people too much?
Yeah, I'm probably like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm very bad with social media. Like, I have to delete Instagram off my phone every day. So, like, right now it's deleted off my phone, but then I'll like have to re download it because, like, yesterday was my friend's birthday. So, obviously, I had to re download it to post for her birthday. But, like, stuff like that, I'll probably grow out of soon. But I tend to try to delete. Instagram off of my phone, especially during the season, because I don't know why. Like, I promise you, I don't follow that many running accounts, but every time it's like there's a race, as soon as I go on Instagram, it like pops up on my feed. And I think that that's like very, like you said, it's very damaging to like the mental aspect of running, especially if you're not running or you feel like you're not running well, or if you just are a very anxious person who gets really anxious about like seeing other people's races and results. So like I'm a pretty anxious person. So like if I go on Instagram and I wanted to just see my friends post or see like a funny like video, a funny reel, and I just open it and it's all running, it stresses me out and it kind of like ruins my mood. So I try to delete it during the season. So like right now it's deleted, but then I'll have to download it a lot because I have to post, especially for Brooks and stuff. I post things on my story a lot, so I'm bad. I'm bad with it, but that's what I try to do. I try to delete it very often.
If you were a high schooler in 2024, what are ways that you would try to work on those things? Would you do what you're doing? Because what's interesting is as I've talked to people, I think there are a few really mature people, including yourself after hearing that are wise enough to delete it during periods. I've never heard that with a high schooler. Like they
Yeah,
don't seem to. So what would you say to a high schooler out there listening? And they don't even like have to. Here's the thing too. I think a lot of times a high schooler listening will be like, oh, I'm not Chloe. I'm not placing top 10 in the country. Like I'm the fifth man on my team or fifth girl on my team. Like I shouldn't worry about these things too much. But the reality is we all deal with comparison. It's like the same issue. It doesn't matter how fast you are and you can follow these same things. You don't have to freaking run 15:21 to
yeah,
have this
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, I'd say I would literally just say don't make an account, delete it. If you're I'm like I just feel like I'm too far in at this point, which is me being dramatic, but I do like need my social media for a lot of things. Like I don't need it, but I because of like my NIL and stuff, like I have a platform kind of. So I do need to post some things, and so I can't delete it. And um if I could go back and like not download it, especially in middle school, especially in high school, I think it would have helped me with so many things. So obviously that's hard because once you have it, like the idea of like deleting it completely in high school, I would have been like, no way. But like now, if I could actually just delete it, I would try. I would try to. But again, that's easy for me to say because I actually don't think I would be able to right now. But yeah, I would just say for those people out there, like it's really not worth it to be scrolling and you're just wasting time. That's the main thing. It's just a waste of time. Like I'll catch myself just scrolling and scrolling and I'm like, why am I doing this? So
Let me ask you a deep question here, and I know it's different dependent on the individual. A lot of people don't know what to replace that time with. If you were them, how would you replace that time?
okay. Let's see. I've been really into knitting. Okay, that's not for everyone, but I would say find a little hobby you like. Like one of my roommates does crocheting. I do knitting. Um, there's other random stuff you can do, or just like replace it by like trying to spend quality time with your friends and people you don't see that often. Give your parents a call. You know, I have three brothers and I never call them. And I FaceTimed my little brother the other day instead of going on Instagram because it's his first year of college. So that was like, that was a good waste of my time talking to my brother. So, but yeah,
Wow, the
I
hate is crazy. That was quite a good waste of my time. I hope he listens to this.
I know. No, he's the best. Haha. But yeah, I would just say like, I think that's the main thing that like I'll scroll and I'll waste like 30 minutes of my day when I could be like going and getting coffee with a friend. So I'd say like try to make real connections in person and spend time with the people around you rather than being on your phone.
Something crazy I saw the other week is that people now on average spend more times on their phone than they do asleep every day. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like we spend like a little over 7 on our phones and the average American sleeps like a little under 7 hours a night. I was like, that is scary.
That is so bad. Oh my God. See, that's so scary to me. I need to delete it. I need to get a flip phone.
That's it. My mom, oh, this was years ago, but she fought so hard to not switch from a flip phone to an iPhone. And then the minute that she switched, she would always be like, oh, I'd go back to a flip phone in an instant if I could. I'd be like, no, you use FaceTime and stuff too much, mom. Like, you
Yeah.
don't actually want to go back to a flip phone. But Yeah, it's crazy. I just think the rate at which we're progressing, this is like, I don't even know what we're talking about at this point, not a running podcast at this point. Yeah, just the rate at we're progressing is crazy. Like
Yeah,
we're on the iPhone 16, iPhone 32. I can't even imagine where we're going to be at as a society.
I know.
I
I'm
don't know.
terrified. I'm very terrified.
Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I think the past 2 years on the grass, you placed top 10 in the country. And then, like, reading through some of your other accolades and starting to follow your career a little more closely, like, on paper, it's kind of nuts. Like, 5-time All-American, 4-time Big East champion. And as I was, like, realizing those things and hearing more about your name, I was like, I'm shocked I haven't really heard about this person. No one's talking about her. For you, do you like that? Or is it a little bit like you wish you got your flowers more? Because on paper, that's kind of ridiculous.
Oh, thank you so much. But I actually really like that. Yeah, I don't love. I mean, I do like, I like a good shout out. I like doing well in a race and getting attention, but I don't do it. I do well with pressure, but it really stresses me out. So I think if like I had the pressure of Parker Valby or like Caitlin Tui or someone who continuously like wins and gets recognized because they're like winning everything, that would really mess me up. I think this year, because I'm a senior and I'm not like, I don't really have eligibility, I wouldn't have to perform. Like, I think it would be really hard for me to be getting all of that attention and then have to come in my senior year and like perform to that expected level. I think I'd be able to, but I think it would be kind of hard mentally. So I like the position I'm in. Yeah.
Is that a tough balance in your head where, you've run 15:21? I have no doubt you're going to break 15 one day. And the minute you break 15, that's going to be a news headline and you'll get people will start talking about you more. Like, what's the balance in your head of that where you said you don't really want it, you don't really like it, but also your dreams and goals, if you do reach them, it kind of naturally puts more of a spotlight on you. How do you kind of balance those two things?
Yeah, I think that just like throughout my running career, I guess so far, um, I've been able to like slowly progress and get better a little bit each year, and that's kind of how I'm like looking at it. And so, um, I think as I get better, I'll get more pressure, but I think I'll also hopefully like grow with that and learn how to handle it more. And like I said, like if I was to run amazing this year and start to have the spotlight on me, I think I'd be able to handle it a lot better because I am a senior. I think if I had run amazing my sophomore year, amazing even last year as a junior, like it would have been a lot harder for me to handle that pressure. Knowing that I had like a full another year to like perform at that level and continuously like um, be like winning races and doing amazing. And I think the like slow progression for me has been really good. So just to continue with that, and as I get better, hopefully I'll be able to handle all that better because that's just like part of, like you said, it's part of the sport. Like it's bound to happen when you're getting running these times, like getting better, you're gonna have more pressure and more of a spotlight.
As a senior, if in thinking back and reflecting on like the freshman version of yourself, what are some of the biggest ways you feel like you've grown as an athlete and person in these past 3 years?
Yeah, it's so weird that I'm a senior now. I'm like this. It went by really quickly. Um, but I think like every year has been really different for me here, and I'm really grateful for that. Like we've had new people each year, and all of my teammates have taught me so much. So looking at myself as a freshman, I think I was just very like had no idea what was going on, and I'm grateful for that because I kind of like was able to enjoy my freshman year of college and like be kind of like a normal student and a normal athlete, and like that was really good for me at the time. But then when I realized towards the end of the year that my coaches were starting to have me train a little more, and I was starting to get a little better, and I realized that like I could be pretty good at running in college. I just like started focusing more that summer. And I slowly saw the progression. But yeah, I think like looking back at how I was freshman year, I'm kind of grateful for how oblivious I was. That's kind of where I'm getting off of this. Like I think if I had come in and I had been like has all this pressure on myself freshman year and kind of like was training so hard and was being so intense about running, I think I would have cracked by junior year, definitely.
Last year, you finished eighth at the 2023 NCAA Cross Country National Championships. This year, final year, unless you take fifth year. Can you take fifth year?
No.
No? Okay, final year, last dance. What are you looking to do this upcoming season? We're talking mid-September, so kind of a unique spot where you're on campus, workouts are probably heating up, probably starting to think about races, but also definitely some time before you line up in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So, we have a really, really, really good team this year. And like I said, our team has changed every year. And I think every year it's like obviously we've lost a lot of amazing people, some of my best friends, some of the best athletes I've ever like met. But, I think this year we have a very, very, very special group. So, I mean, the goal has always been to podium or to win. So, that's definitely the goal this year. And I think like our team is very capable of that. So that's what makes cross country so fun. And I'm just so excited to like be 100% and get back out there. Um, but yeah, and then for myself, I just want to like continually progress. So do the best I can, score the least amount of points for the team. Um, yeah, I really just want the team to like podium or win. And I like I said, I really think that's a possibility this year. So it's really exciting.
How much do you feel like the team being so good and being on the verge of like podiuming or winning motivates you all the more to do even better? Because when I've talked to people, it seems like a lot of people have those breakout years when the team is at the forefront of their mind and they're doing it for a bigger purpose than just themselves.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier, and that's like why I've grown to love cross country. Just because it's kind of alleviates the pressure off yourself, and it's more like you know why you're doing it. Because sometimes when you're running like a track race, you're like, why am I running this? You know, like especially I had to do the 10K for outdoor, and I was like, why am I doing this? You know, why am I willingly running 25 laps around a track? It just seems a little weird. And for cross country, it's like, okay, I know why I'm doing this because I want to run the best for my team. Like I want to run the best so my team can score the least amount of points and we can do amazing for each other. So it does make it like so much easier, and it's really exciting to have like people who are just so good to train with like every day.
I know a lot of athletes do not look at rankings or polls or anything, and I feel like they're almost always wrong. But I think week one of the coaches poll came out like this past week, and you guys were ranked 15th, I think. Um, you're talking about podiuming and potentially winning. How good would it feel to prove the haters wrong? And I'm sure like once the thing is like once Nuttycombe hits, all those rankings get shaken up because that's like the first real test. But whether it's people talking about you personally or the team, do you feel like that adds a chip on your shoulder, or is it more just like shut out all the noise? I really could care less what people say about me or the team. If they want to rank
Yeah.
us 30th, that's fine.
Yeah, I think when it first came out, we were all like kind of laughing about it, but it's yeah, we try not to look at that stuff because, like I said, it's almost never accurate. Um, and I don't know where that I saw the ranking number 15. That was a little weird to me. I think it's based off of last year's NCAAs, and we had like a really bad day last year, but this year, obviously, that's not going to happen again. So but yeah, I don't know. We try not to look at that stuff because, like you said, it's never accurate. And I think it just kind of like, even like I'm happy we're ranked lower. You know, like I wouldn't want to be ranked first because, I mean, it would be cool, but still, again, like there's pluses and minuses to being ranked like first versus like 15th or like 30th or like even like 10th. You know, because when you're ranked so high, it's like you have to perform at that, and if you don't, it's like such a disappointment. Whereas like if they rank us here and like I'm talking like I think we could have a team that could podium, then when we podium, it's just that much cooler, you know?
100%. For
Mm-hmm.
you, every athlete, depending on the time of year, like the mindset is a little different. Like summer is like very foundational, setting goals, putting in long miles, not too many workouts. And then like end of the season is like sharpening up, focusing on executing when you need to, like cutting mileage, etc. As we talk in September, what's kind of this like, we're not quite mid-season, but like early to now mid-season mindset for Chloe? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get like back into the race mindset. We have Nuttycombe coming up, and I'm like a little bit behind from where I normally am because I had a little hamstring issue in the summer. So now I'm fine. I'm just like back to training, but we're still not 100% sure if I'm going to open this weekend or next weekend or a little bit later. So stay tuned. But I think for me, just like getting back out there, I need like one race under my belt, and then I think I'll feel good. But yeah, it's starting to ramp up. So it doesn't really feel like cross country is here because I don't think like any races have really big ones have happened yet. Um, and I think that's normally the case at this time. But at the same time, I feel like last year there had been a big race at this point. So I don't know. It does feel like we're not quite there yet. But I think it like in 2 weeks, as soon as Nutty comes over, as soon as I think there's another race that weekend. But as soon as we have like one weekend of racing, I feel like I'm gonna be like, oh shit, like cross country's here now. Like we gotta get locked in. So I'm just trying to, yeah, like I said, I'm trying to focus and get back into it and just like lock in.
For you as an athlete, where do you personally draw confidence from, and how do you build it when it's lower?
Um, let's see. I feel like I since I've been at Georgetown, I definitely have drawn confidence from my teammates, like just supporting me and like doing workouts with them because, like I said, my teammates are really good, especially this year, and finishing a hard workout with them, it's like wow, like I'm able to work out with that person. That's kind of cool. Um, and then also just yeah, I get a lot of confidence from training, which isn't necessarily a good thing. I feel like you shouldn't like base all your confidence off of training. But when I do have a good workout or even like a good like easy run where I'm like happy and like giggling with people and like having fun conversations, like I leave that day feeling like, oh, like really good about myself. I'm like, wow, this is going to be a good week. This is going to be a good week of training. This is going to be a good week um, for the long haul. But yeah, I don't really know where exactly I get confidence from, but
Speaking on those easy runs, giggling, having fun, how crucial important are those, do you think, for a sustainable career? Because in my experience, like in my own running, granted, so much slower than you, so maybe we shouldn't draw from my own experiences, but I feel like those were the runs that helped the miles go by quicker and also just made me love the sport all the more.
yeah, I think they're so important. And if you didn't have easy days, like if I had to do a workout every day, I would definitely not be here. Like I would be dying. Like that would be so hard. So the easy days just make it kind of reminds you why you're doing it because I love going on my easy runs with my teammates. And just like catching up and it's such a good start, especially like I said in the fall, we practice really early. So it's such a good start to the day and the week. Just going on a run with your friends in the morning. And yeah, it takes the pressure off of like it takes the intensity off of the week when you have like a fun, easy run. You're like, okay, we're just runners, like, you know.
You've mentioned multiple times in this conversation you have morning practice. How do you become a morning person for someone listening who's not a morning person?
I thought I was a morning person until I got to Georgetown because we have to get up so early on workout days. Like today I got up not that early. I'm being dramatic, but today I had to get up in the fives actually. So
That's early.
yeah, I had to get
At
up at
least to
five.
me.
Yeah, I cut it so close. Like we had to be at the athletic center at 6:20. So I set my alarm for 5:55 and like I always cut it really close. But that's just because I need my sleep. But I feel like to be a morning person, it's really easy when you're on a team. Like if you have people with you, like for people listening, probably all runners, if you're trying to learn how to be up for morning practice, you're going to be able to do it because like I'm like exhausted, but then I get to practice and I'll have like one of my teammates like yelling about something that happened the night before and it's like, okay, I'm up, you know.
You're a three-time school record holder. I may have mentioned that before, but in the 3K, 5K, and 10K, if I'm not mistaken, for you, which one of those is most memorable and special to you? And also, just being a three-time school record holder, like what does it mean? You still have a year left, but what does it mean to undoubtedly be one of the greatest runners in Georgetown history, which is already a remarkable program with a long, rich history?
Yeah, it's so cool. I would say my favorite by far is the 3K. I like was a 2 mile runner in high school. And so that was always like my favorite event. And in college, I like had to jump up to the 5K because the mile gets so much faster. And like I was not at that level yet. So I immediately jumped up to the 5K. And then I was like, I hate this. And so the 3K is just such a fun event. And that race in particular, like I ran with Melissa, my teammate, and we both ran like under the school record, I think. She ran like 2 seconds slower than me, but we basically finished at the same time. And it was just really cool to have like two Georgetown girls in this heat with like all of these professional athletes. Like I think we were the only college kids, maybe us and like one other girl. And it was like all these professional athletes, and we finished like right in the mix, and both ran like PRs and pretty fast for the NCAA. Like we both ran at the indoor meet with those times. So, and it's pretty challenging to run at the indoor meet because I think it's top 16 in each event. So like two Georgetown girls in that race is pretty cool. So yeah, that was like definitely the most memorable, was running that race with her. And especially just I think being with all the professional athletes in the BU atmosphere is really cool.
Final year, and with it, I feel like comes a new era of NCAA female distance running, where you kind of had the reign of Caitlin Tui for a little bit. You kind of saw Parker Valby try to challenge that. Caitlin was pretty successful in fending it off, and then Parker just absolutely dominated this past year. Now she's out of the NCAA, and it's kind of like anyone's for the taking. What's your kind of mindset on the state of the NCAA? Maya Ramsden, like if you go on the track too, you look at like individual events, like Maya was running ridiculous in the 15 and mile. She's now gone. What's kind of your take on the state of NCAA women's distance running?
Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, like as much as I loved like those athletes were so awesome and like so great to have in the NCAA because they set records every weekend and were running amazing. It was kind of like they like Maya, Parker, like just dominated at their events, and so it was almost like no event was really like, yes, it was open, but especially for the distance events, everyone knew Parker was going to win. Like it wasn't really a question. And which is kind of like bad mindset to have, but it's kind of exciting now that it's more open. It's like who's going to be on top. And I think like the last couple years or last year I'd say I've been in the mix, so it'll be exciting like to maybe be making my way up. It just, yeah, it makes me a lot more excited for this year because it's you don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of all up in the air.
Talking about another significant thing that has happened in your life in the past year, you signed an NIL deal with Brooks. If I'm not mistaken, are you the only? No, I guess Shanti's in college, but she's not a distance runner. You're the second ever female to sign an NIL
Yes.
with Brooks.
Yes.
Yeah, what was that like? What was that process like, and what's it like to be an NIL athlete with them? I
Yeah,
said
it was
NIL very weird there. NIL.
NAL. Yeah, no, it was really exciting. I have been a Brooks like runner, like not a Brooks runner. I've worn Brooks since I started my track career, and like when I started track, I did outdoor track in high school, and like I didn't know you were supposed to wear spikes. I just ran in my Brooks glycerin for like my first outdoor season. Like I ran like a mile in my Brooks glycerin. Like I was always a Brooks girl. So when all of this NIL started happening, it was really exciting for me, and I like Brooks like seemed like it was an option, and that was just so exciting to me because like I said, it's always been the shoe I've worn. And yeah, like I met you actually at the PR meet, but that was kind of like right after I signed everything, and then it got announced at trials, and it was kind of like a full like 3 weeks of just like chaos, but like also just so exciting, and everyone has been so great. I got to meet a lot of cool people. I love the Brooks Beast. Like all of the professional runners for the team in Seattle are so cool. And the staff is amazing. So it's been really fun, and I love the brand. So they just dropped the new Glycerin Max. If anyone wants to
Crazy
go buy
shoe.
those.
Ran in it for the first time yesterday. I'm not affiliated with any company, so I can really talk freely. And I feel like because of
Yeah.
that, people trust me. I'm very excited to try it for more runs. It just felt there's like so much cushion. I was like, it's an
Yeah.
experience and I don't really want to put an opinion out there after only one run, but I feel like it's going to be a super good like recovery easy day shoe because
Yeah.
it takes so much of the pounding off of your legs. I don't know if you've ran in it yet,
Yeah. I
but
ran in
these
them
shoes are
today for
getting
my.
crazy.
Yeah, they're crazy. Wait, so what do you run in typically? Do you wear Brooks like glycerin normally ever?
I've never worn the Brooks Glycerin, which is funny. So this is my
Oh,
first time trying the Glycerin lineup. But the one Brooks, my favorite Brooks shoe is probably, I really like the Hyperion Elite 3.
okay.
I think it was the 3 that came out last year. And
Mhm.
then I really love the, what is it? Hyperion Max. that
Yeah,
came out this summer.
those
That's
are
probably my
awesome.
favorite shoe from
Hmm.
Brooks. I really, really like that shoe. I've also worn it for pickleball an odd amount of times. Uh, Works for pickleball. I don't know why. I just feel like
Yeah,
it's like not too cushiony, but I won't go into why I wear shoes for pickleball. But
yeah.
yeah. Anyways, it was intriguing the
Hmm.
experience. It was like
Yeah,
so much cushion.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not a girl who wears a lot of shoes with like I always wear the regular glycerin, which aren't that cushiony. Like they're kind of cushiony, but not like the Max. So I'm gonna have to figure out like what, like you said, like when I'm gonna wear them. But I love them. I love how they look. They're so cute.
They do
And
look
they're,
very cool.
yeah, and they're really comfortable. So um, I'd say 10 out of 10 so far. I do have to figure out how I'm gonna like which runs I'm gonna use them for though.
Do you wear the Hyperion Max as much? And if so, what's your take on those?
I love the Hyperion Maxes. Yeah, I wear those. I'm not wearing them as much at school because I typically run in my glycerin for most days, but then like for workouts I'll wear them. Um, and yeah, I really like them. They're like I've worn the Nike Vaporflies for the last couple of years because of Georgetown, and they're very equivalent. But I really like them. They're like they feel like they're a little more stable. I don't even know how to describe it, but like they kind of keep my foot in place almost. I really like them.
This is a hot take. Again, I'm not affiliated with anyone, so I can throw all this stuff out there. The Nike Vaporfly, I never had the like Vaporfly 3, but I tried out the Next Percent, like the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent, and that was my least favorite super shoe I've ever had, which is a
Really?
very hot take. Yeah. But on the contrary, the Nike Alpha Fly is probably my overall favorite super shoe, at least for like very long stuff. So I just didn't like the Vaporfly line, and I think a big reason was because it was super unstable to me.
Yeah,
Um,
the top is like I always have to tie them in the weirdest way. Like my coach would like this is so embarrassing, but my coach would actually tie my shoes at like practice the last like 3 years. He would have to tie them for me like when I got a new pair because they're not stable at the top. So it like felt like my foot would slide out.
right, right. Going
Yeah.
back in time, closing out this conversation, I want to give some context to how you got to where you are today. So take me through your start in the sport of running all the way up to kind of present day, how you got to being one of the best runners in the country.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'll start like, well, my mom was a swimmer and she swam in college Division 3, but her season didn't start until like the winter because it wasn't that intense. And so she joined cross country. So she kind of like was the one who got me into running at kind of a young age, but I was always playing like random sports. So I played soccer and basketball pretty much all of high school. And then I would do outdoor track. And I didn't really start like I said, my freshman year I was running in my Brooks Glycerin. Like I didn't really start trying for outdoor track until end of sophomore year, and then junior year I decided like right before basketball season I wasn't going to play basketball, and I was really sad. But I was like, I need to do indoor track so I can get recruited for college, and so then I started kind of focusing more that season. But then we had COVID, so the pandemic hit at the end of the junior like indoor season, and so like outdoor got canceled, and then that summer I was going to my senior year and I was like all ready to play soccer, and then all these like college coaches would call me. Like I remember my Georgetown coach called me and he was like, oh, like how's the cross country training going? And I like did not know what to say because I had like just gotten back from a soccer summer league game. And so it was kind of like this internal crisis. I was like, I don't know if I should quit soccer. I don't know what to do. And then I ended up quitting soccer right before the season, which is sad, but in hindsight, it was probably good because I got like a couple more like races under my belt. So it helped me get recruited. But I really didn't focus until my senior year on running. And I think my senior outdoor track season was like my breakout season. And I went to the Brooks PR meet, and that was like my breakout race. But I committed to Georgetown like middle of my early senior year, like October, I think. Yeah, and now I'm at Georgetown.
Rest is history. For you, do you
Yeah.
feel like kind of waiting a little bit to go all in on running has helped you and helped your sustainability in the sport? Or do you ever think back and think the opposite of like, oh, I wish I would have been Jakob Ingebrigtsen and started seriously training when I was 5?
No, like I am so grateful that I didn't start training. Like I'm so grateful I was able to play my other sports, and like I didn't start training until I was like end of senior year because I was able to like I feel like it's helped me be sustain like kind of like sustain myself these last 3 years, I guess. And just slowly build. Like if I had been running a lot in high school, it would have been, I don't know, like how would I get any better? You know what I mean? Like people are training crazily in high school right now, and I was like not running in high school. So when I came to college, it was like very easy for me to get better because as soon as you're training and you're running more miles and you're doing workouts, like you're gonna run faster times. So yeah, I was really grateful that I like did not run. Like if I even could look back, I think I would have played soccer my senior fall. That would have been my only change because like, and I don't know, it would have been fun. But yes, moral of the story, I'm very happy I started a little later than most people.
Chloe, final serious question for you today. For those who have listened to our conversation, look up to you and your progression in the sport, what would you say to them? What would be the final takeaway message that you want to leave with the audience?
Let's see. I guess I'd say like one, thank you for listening because I'm a talker and I ramble. But also that yeah, just to like try to take everything day by day and just enjoy it. And if you're on a team in college or high school or even like middle school, whatever, like whatever age you're listening to this, just like really appreciate the moments with your teammates and the easy runs, anywhere from the easy runs to the workouts to the long runs. Like just try to appreciate it all because it goes by really quickly and not everyone can do what we do. So it's kind of like I kind of try to remind myself that, and it makes me really learn to like the sport a lot more.
Chloe, final question for you, wrapping up our conversation today. The question I ask every single guest on every single episode. If you had Gordon Ramsay coming over to your house for dinner, what would you choose to make for him?
Oh God. Um, I don't know. I'm like not a good I'm a good like baker, but I'm not a good cook. But I would say I love a good like pesto pasta with some like or no pesto gnocchi with Brussels sprouts. It's really good.
That's
Trust me.
fancy.
Yeah, it's really good.
Chloe, really appreciate the conversation. Keep crushing it. Excited to see all the things you'll accomplish in this final year. And I guess you would say go Hoyas, right?
Yes, Hoya Saxa.
There you go. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.